This is Phototech coming directly to you through the power of the internet. I have, first and foremost, this is going to be a multi-subject video, so please watch through and for details. First and foremost, the first thing is that there is a prediction when the PlayStation 5 is coming. According to Damien Tong of Macquarie, that the PlayStation 5 will be coming in 2018. This gentleman has some history in predicting Sony moves in the markets. So he was correct about the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Slim. And that is very fascinating. This came up, this popped up on Twitter. This was shared on New York Journal Times Ames Pay Twitter feed by another gentleman. This is interesting considering the fact that Sony has stated that the PlayStation 4 may in fact be the last console. There may not possibly be a PlayStation 5 or anything after that. And the possibility of this is that both of them are right. The PlayStation 5 could potentially be a thing, but it is not a console as it's typically believed. PlayStation 5 could potentially be nothing more than what I believe and what Adam Korlick and a few other YouTubers believe. It could be nothing more than a streaming box built into a TV, or a streaming system built into a TV, or a little box you plug into your TV to stream games off of the internet. So mark on your calendars 2018 potential PlayStation 5 release. On to the next bit of news about the PlayStation 4 Neo. The PlayStation 4 Neo, according to officially from Sony, Andrew House and Mark Cerny and those guys, in various interviews, the reason for the PlayStation 4 Pro is to stop people from leaving the console ecosystem for a PC. Now, just completely start laughing. You done laughing? No? Okay. First and foremost, there's a lot of things around this. The first and foremost is that they basically markedly observe that there is typically a lull in sales mid-life of a system or a platform. So the PlayStation 4 is just past its midway point, according to Sony, and they feel that they need to come out with an updated version, in this case 2 versions of the system, hoping that this will entice people to not jump platform and continue to play on the PlayStation platform. This doesn't make sense considering Sony shot down mods. That's for PlayStation 4 games. So there you go. This also doesn't make any sense considering that the PlayStation 4 Slim is not an improvement over the PlayStation 4, and if anything is a downgrade from the original PlayStation 4, as the original PlayStation 4 had an optical jack and still is the dominant system. Also, the fact that the PlayStation 4 Pro is only a doubling of the graphical processor and a slight uptick in the CPU speed and bandwidth, and other than that, they omitted the Ultra 4 BluRay player. The reason for that was simply because Sony looked into the metrics. By the way, your PlayStation 4 and your Xbox One keep track of every single thing you do. Just so you know, if you're paranoid about them watching you, they are watching you. They keep track of everything you do. Uh, Also, the same thing with Nintendo and the Wii U and the 3DS. The 3DS less of an extent, Nintendo Wii U less. Uh, and what Sony came to the conclusion was that the future is in streaming, and people are streaming more than they are watching off of optical media. This could also just simply be tied into the fact that Sony is trying to shove everyone into the streaming realm more, and even though they co-own the patents for 4K Ultra HD BluRays, they have decided that their future is in the service of streaming said content to you, then selling you a physical disc or cartridge or anything like that, so you may be able to put the game in the system, trade it with your friends, loan it to a friend, or anything like that. So it's essentially Sony's trying to nudge people towards what Microsoft originally intended for the Xbox One. In other words, you can't trade your games, you can't do anything like that. You rent your games by the day or month, or you just simply buy them if they still allow for that. The game sits up on a server somewhere, and when you want to play it, you connect to that server. The downside of this is that, unlike buying a game and downloading the game to your system, if it's on a server somewhere else, if you download that game to your system and it gets pulled from the store, you are most likely going to still have access to the game on your system. What they do with the fact that it's on their server and they pull it from the store is something else. They may still allow you to have access to it, but if you decided to remove it from your account, you may lose access to it permanently and may never be able to acquire it again. Also, that is the end of the second news piece. The third news piece is the fact that Sony announced that The Last Guardian has been delayed again. It has been moved from October 25th to October 6th. I'm not going to go any further into that on it. I'm sorry for you Sony ponies, you're getting screwed over by Sony. PS4 Pro is coming out this November on the 10th, if I remember correctly, which is also the same day that the NES Classic Edition is coming out. That's Sony competing against Nintendo again. Ha 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 ha. Anyways, is the Nintendo NX is planned for March 7th. It's in the March window. It's tied around the 17th. Nintendo has not officially announced anything on NX. There is rumored dates in which Nintendo is going to show off the NX. One is at the Tokyo Game Show. The other one is in November, right around the 10th. I think it's the 10th. Or October. There's a few rumored points in which Nintendo is going to drop the bomb on the NX. But first and foremost, the Nintendo NX is still coming. We have no clue what it is. All the rumors keep revolving around. The more recent rumors keep revolving around that hybrid system concept, but it may not be that hybrid system concept. The new platform, new concept for the NX could just simply be Nintendo making a video game system and saying, you know what? Let's try this wonderful concept called power. Okay? This is a new concept. And they end up making something closer to the Xbox One and Scorpio. And it could be just like, what? And that could be something else. Or it could just be a tablet system or a Nintendo phone. So, there you go. Sony is abutted by the Microsoft Xbox One S and Nintendo NX, and then there's the Scorpio coming later. The Xbox One S is currently out. It offers better features than the PlayStation 4 Pro and the PlayStation 4 Slim. So you are still getting a better value with the Xbox One S. And then in a year from PlayStation 4 Pro launching, the Xbox Scorpio or the Xbox One Scorpio will come into existence. So if you are willing, if you go and buy the Xbox One S, I'm talking strictly from the Microsoft versus Sony aspect, you still get a better system overall compared to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Slim. And in some respects, the Xbox One S is better or a better rounded platform than the PlayStation 4 Pro. The PlayStation 4 Pro has more power, but it lacks in a few features. Where if you wait a year, you get something that is straight up superior to the PlayStation 4 Pro, outright with the Xbox One Scorpio or Xbox Scorpio. I do not know if this is the new Xbox or just a updated version of the Xbox One. It was sold as being an updated version of the Xbox One, but that may just be simply the new evolution of consoles now between Sony and Microsoft, being just the simple fact that the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are basically gated, modified PCs. That's what we're getting into, is just those kind of incremental evolution. In the case of Nintendo versus Sony, the NES Classic Edition is coming out in November 10th, as well as the PlayStation 4 Pro. And then in March, Nintendo comes out with the Nintendo NX. Now, the potentiality of this is that Nintendo could announce in the final weeks of October or early November the NX. We could find out it is a cute little handheld you carry with you, and you can plug into your TV or a docking station and play a ton of games on that. And it is rumored to be comparable or superior to the PlayStation 4 in processing power, which is ridiculous because then it would be an $800 handheld, and Nintendo is known for producing affordable platforms. You buy it, you enjoy it, you buy a ton of games for it. It's just awesome that way. Nintendo making a really uber powerful system like a stronger version of the PlayStation Vita, a console experience on the go, which is what Sony tried to do, and Sony tried to do that and they failed. They failed with the PSP. They actually had some potential with the PSP, but the fact that they went with the UMD model, the concept, instead of going with a cartridge or a game card, screwed the PSP over. And then when Sony corrected for that mistake with the PS Vita, the energy on the Sony side in the handheld market dimmed greatly, and everyone else basically, Nintendo basically kicked Sony's rear end inside out. Already, this is going to die along with the PSP as well. The same as the PSP. So, there we go. So, the whole theory about Nintendo making a handheld that is really powerful to play like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on, and to be on par or superior to the original PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is a little ridiculous. Uh, Now, the possibility of Nintendo creating a handheld and being cheaper, having a handheld equivalent system, like a new version of the 3DS, or, yeah, I'm not talking about the new 3DS. This is the problem with putting the word new on the front end of your system. Unless you start going with Nintendo through the new Nintendo 3DS Advanced, or the super new Nintendo 3DS, you end up with just insanity. And the reason why Nintendo went with the word new, this is just dumb, but this is Japanese. The word new is exotic in Japanese. So, I mean, like English words, the most mundane English word that is just based around function or a ploy is just exotic, it's magical to Japanese. So, that's where that insanity came from. Now, all likelihood, I could see Nintendo doing something like that, but I don't see them doing it now. And it may be a tie-in. What we are talking about is like the screen controller that comes apart, and or something similar to that with the NX. The rumored NX system could just simply be the controller. It could be an updated version of the Wii U concept, but buffed out some of the weaknesses. It may be an add-on to the actual NX. Now, the actual NX could just potentially be another box, another really powerful box. A new concept for Nintendo is just making a system really powerful. They've done this twice before. The case with this was being with the Super NES, which was almost a slightly off accidental, being more powerful, and the other one was with the Nintendo GameCube, which was more powerful generally than the Xbox. It had a superior graphics card that had extra layers and more abilities to render imagery differently than the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. But the Nintendo had a more in line with the Xbox CPU. Uh, Yet again, the extra texture layers that the GameCube can do actually aid into the clock speed of the graphics processor, so the processor could run fast as the Xbox One could if it only had done the same number of texture layers and bit mapping as the Xbox, not the Xbox One, but the Xbox, the original Xbox, versus if the Nintendo GameCube actually went and did the extra texture layers, which it could do, and the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox could not do, but that would, as I said, slow down the GPU's processing, the math, overall, and would slow it down much more than the Xbox and the PS. No, the PS2 was the weakest system power-wise, all categories. Even the GameCube could nuke that sucker. It was strong competition processing power-wise compared to the Xbox. However, Nintendo screwed themselves over with going with the mini discs. For the reason Nintendo went with the mini discs, which is absolutely, completely stupid as all hell. Logic Nintendo used to go with the mini discs was just dumb beyond all possibility. It was actually anti-piracy. Now, if Nintendo made the discs bigger than a standard disc, then that would have actually been a better solution and make the discs smaller, because the small discs could still go into computers and you could still scan the crap out of that. What the fuck were you thinking, Nintendo? This is what Nintendo does with with the vast majority of their systems, is from the N64 on, is they do everything but this one critical thing amazingly, and this one critical little thing eats into the system. In the case of the N64, there was actually two things. The first was the cartridge technology at the time, limitation, and the second was the fact that Nintendo did not put in enough RAM into the system. In the case of the GameCube, Nintendo went with the mini discs. That was their mistake right there. They also, the second mistake was that they only had 2 memory card slots instead of 4. Why have just 2 memory card slots versus 4 controller ports? Why? In the case of the Wii, Nintendo kind of lucked into the whole amazing thing right there. However, they didn't put enough processing power in the system. If the system was closer to the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 in processing power, it would have got better games overall. It would have been more expensive, but Nintendo could have ate that. And the same thing happened with the Wii U, is that they didn't put enough processing power into the system. Two of the reasons why the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U wasn't as powerful as they should have been was because Satoru Iwata decided that he wanted a system that was only as thick as 2 DVD cases next to each other. Okay, so there we go again. I ramble off on Nintendo yet again, but it started out as a Sony video, and it turned into a Microsoft then Nintendo video. Whenever I start with a Microsoft news or start with a Sony news bit, I'm inevitably going to slide into Nintendo, because I know Nintendo extensively, and I've been a fan of Nintendo ever since I was a little kid on the NES playing Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda and Godzilla Monster of Monsters, a whole bunch of other stuff like that. So I just slide off into that territory too easily. But thank you very much for watching my video. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Please vote for my video. I would love it if you liked my video. But if you do not like my video, if you hit dislike, please tell me why you disliked my video, because I want to generally know what it is about my videos that people don't like. It just happens every so often. Also consider sharing this video with other groups on Google Plus and Facebook and so on and so forth. And I also appreciate it if you added this video to a playlist, but you don't have to, okay? Thank you very much, and so long, and thank you for all the fish.